In this video, I'm going to test out some new additions to Adobe Illustrator 28.6. There have been improvements or additions made to the text to vector features in Illustrator. So that's generative AI. And I want to see how this works. And up front, I just want to say that as somebody who's made my living as an illustrator for most of my career, I have very mixed feelings about generative AI art. But I also teach Illustrator, so I just want to explore these things and see how they're working. So to begin with, there is a new feature called Generative Shape Fill, which allows you to draw something with simple shapes and use that as the basis for creating artwork using a text prompt. And in the last version of Illustrator, these features were in the Properties panel. Now they have their own panel. So there's a button down at the bottom of the Properties panel that you can access, or you can use the button on the contextual taskbar when you have a group of shapes or an individual shape selected. Then when you click on this, you can type in a prompt. So I'm going to call this a tube of sunscreen with a sun on the label. And then here are icons for settings. I'm just going to click on this gear icon to see all the settings at once. Here's my prompt. We can tell Illustrator to adhere to the shape loosely, somewhere in the middle, or very tightly. I'm just going to go somewhere in the middle. And then we have a level of detail. There's 5 levels here from minimum to maximum. So I'm going to the middle and then just going down one. There's also the ability to use style reference. For this, I'm going to do this again. And what you can do is you can click on individual objects here, or you can click and drag to take in a whole bunch of objects all at once. Let me try something else here. I'm just going to click on the surfboard. And that's my style reference for this. Under effects, you can choose from any of these effects, but since I've already added a style reference, I'm going to leave it at that. Then I'm going over to color and tone. And here I want to add some colors. And these are things that I already saved in my swatches panel. So let's see. Every time you need to hit the plus button to add a new color. And let's add a few more. I think I just want one more color here. All right, we'll see how that does. And then I'll click generate. Now for the video, I'll speed through this, but it goes pretty fast. And let's zoom in and take a look at this. I'm going to turn off my edge highlighting, Command or Control H. And let's move this out of the way a little bit. Okay, so this is pretty simple, which is better than I've seen it before. I think this is an improvement. So it is following the colors that I set, which is good. And the art is much more simple than it's been, and I think it's because I gave it something really simple to reference here. Now, it's not exactly my style, and that's not exactly a sun right there, but I guess it's a very simple sun. I'm wondering which one of these will be the most editable. And look at that. Look at how it's kind of following that stripe that I created there. That's interesting. So one thing that I have to say, so maybe personally, I would not use this as an illustrator because this is AI generated artwork. So if I'm signing a contract, you know, that this artwork belongs to me, that I own the copyright to it, you can't really do that with AI generated artwork. That's important to bear in mind. But let's take a look and see, you know, how editable this is. Copy, paste in front. I'm just going to move it down here out of the way so I can work on a copy. And I'm going to start by ungrouping this. And it says your variations are lost, but I think that I can get them back. If I go up to the window menu, there's a new panel here, generated variations, and then I can see those variations here. So maybe I can get those back. All right, so let's see what's grouped here. If I move this off to the side, this is a single shape. This is a single shape. Let's see what we have here. If I ungroup, these are individual shapes like that. So one way to tackle this copy paste in front is just to take this whole shape or a copy of it there and just unite it. And then I have a simple shape. Now I see these notches in here, and maybe I can use the smooth tool, which is underneath the pencil tool, and smooth over that. There we go. That looks straighter. That looks straighter. Okay, so that looks like a pretty clean shape. Get the smooth tool and just smooth that part out right there. Oh wait, select it. Yeah, I think that did it. Okay, I should turn my edges back on. Command or Control H. So now I can see the anchor points, etc. Okay. Now what to do with this? Well, I would probably just redraw that because it's got a notch in it. It's a weird shape. It's a sun, kind of. I don't know what that is. Let me ungroup. And so what we can see here is that that is a stripe shape, and it's a cutout. This is what I'm more used to seeing, is these kind of cutout shapes that can be a little more difficult to work with. This one is broken into two shapes. It almost looks like it's making a shadow there, which is really interesting because that's kind of what I was doing in my artwork. So I'm copying both of those over, bringing them to front, and I'm going over here to the Pathfinder and uniting them. So at least I have a shape for this, a shape for that, and a shape for that. And then if I want to grab these two here and make them, be the shadow, I can unite them and maybe use that smooth tool a little bit right there, kind of smooth out that bump. I need to zoom in. This one might just take, normal editing like that. And I would just draw this over because I can draw this so much faster than this editing that I've done here. Maybe I'll show you that. And then I can take this shape and put it right here and bring it to front, give it a multiply blending mode, turn that down a little bit, and it starts to become like a shadow like I've done elsewhere in my work, although it's not continuing up here. So let me move that out of the way. And then there's a circle here. I would want this to be more of a sun, with sun rays on it, but a circle will be okay for now. I'm going to change the color of this. I think I have another shade of this green here. Okay, so I've done a few edits to that. It needs more work, but I'm grouping it and I'm going to move it into place here. Let's get rid of that. My variations are lost. Okay, I hear you. And there we go. I'm moving it into place. So it is starting to be some artwork that I might be able to use. And of course, like I said, I would not use this in my own work necessarily because I don't know, it's AI generated. All right, so let's try another one here. I'm going to do this beach ball. Clicking on Generative Shape Fill, and I'm going to call this beach ball. And I think all of the settings are the same. We're going to do the same colors, same style reference, and no effects. And I set up those colors. Let's click Generate and see what we get. And I'll speed this up. It's really funny how it's, replicating in some way the idea of stripes being there and this shadow. Let's see what this one looks like. Yeah. I'm not sure if any of those are all that useful, especially the way that this gets cut off. So I'm just going to click Generate again and see what I get. Speeding through this. Okay, number 1. Number 2 has some funky lines in it. Trying a little bit of texture there that I don't need. And maybe this one could be edited. All right, so I'm going to ungroup it. Variations are lost. I didn't choose a copy this time, so I'm going to get rid of this background shape. Oh, weird. There's more behind it. Oh, maybe that's the other variation. Okay. Move this out of the way. This is one of the earlier variations that's missing part of the beach ball. Then I'm going to move this over. Yeah, this is wild to me because it's the thing that I've been missing a little bit from these generated. I have not really seen the text to vector be able to do something this simple, which is, really like what I want sometimes, because maybe it's not the full illustration, but it's a component or some shapes that I could use. Oh, I don't know. So let me go ahead and just, like before, I'm going to try and edit this. I'm trying to move it into a place where I can nudge. Let's ungroup it, close the transparency panel, and see what we have here. So that is a slice. That is a slice, but it's trying to make a shadow out of it. What I'm going to do is unite that. I'll do the same thing here. Unite it. And again, it's pretty simple in terms of the way it's created. Unite that. This is all, nope, that's separate. Unite it. Okay, so I have these panels here that are really simple now. This almost could be a highlight. Let's move that off to the side before I unite this. This could also work as a highlight. So I'm going to copy, paste in front, nudge it off to the side, and unite that. All right, so I have a series of, let's unite this one, of simple shapes here. And maybe if I had given it something that didn't have this shadow in it here, I wouldn't have had all those pieces to delete. This is something I need to experiment more with. So maybe I can say, oh yeah, there's my highlight. I'm bringing it to front. Here's another highlight, bringing it to front. I would draw that differently, but let's just leave it at that. And then copy, paste in front, move this out over here and unite it again. So I have another shape there. And let's say I want this to be a shadow or a shading. I'm going to give that multiply blending mode and just lighten it here. And then very often what I do is I do some way of cutting, so I've duplicated it there. I have the one below. So I have these two things here selected, and then I'm going to use the shape builder tool. The shortcut is Shift M, holding down the Option or Alt key to get rid of that. And now I've created a shadow that's a little, faster and more accurate. Okay, so I think if you give it really, really simple art for your style reference, then you can wind up with simple shapes that might be easier to work with. So I have to admit, I have a queasy feeling as it's kind of copying my style, and I wouldn't leave this way, but it has useful components in it. All right, so let's try another one of these. Let's see, we're going to go to the window menu, and this other feature is Generate Patterns, which has been here in Illustrator for a little while, but it now has its own panel. All right, so let's start by beach balls and ice cream cones. And let's see what we have here. We have colors that we can either work with a preset, a number of colors, or specify colors like we did before. And then there are some style prompts here, but you can't actually tell it to use a style reference. So let's just start by generating and see what we get. I probably need to put those colors in there, but let's make this quick. I think I need to start with a rectangle here and then just... Looks faded. Is that because of my previous setting? Yes. Okay. I applied that to the rectangle that I started with. So I'm going back to a normal transparency mode. Okay. It would be better if I could use the art that I just generated and edited to make this pattern from, or if I was able to use a style reference like I did before. But let's go ahead and quickly add the colors. So if I add some of the colors here, the pink, just this back and forth here. Okay, let's see how that does. These buttons here allow you to edit the pattern, which will take you into pattern editing mode. You can add one of these to your swatches panel, or you can delete that swatch, that variation. I'm going to click on Generate, and we'll see what happens now with the colors. I'll speed this up. Oh, this is much more like I expect from AI generated art. That what we have here is a beach ball and an ice cream cone merged into one thing. Very interesting. So I don't really see how this is going to be useful. Let's just pretend that this one is. I think what happened is that when I put the colors in, there are fewer colors and now there's more gaps and things. Let's go to one of these that's a little bit more, I mean, those drawings are not great. You know, I have an earlier video that I'll link to in the description here so you can actually reference it to see if you think that this is improved at all. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and just jump into pattern editing mode so I can look at this artwork here and you can sort of see how things are grouped. I mean, this is not necessarily very usable, but maybe some of these shapes are usable. I don't see that it has improved a ton here, but maybe a little bit. And I think it still has that same size. It can only be as a grid. You can find out more about just how this works by watching that other video of mine. But let's go ahead. I'm going to cancel out of here and back out. And if I did want to make this in the color, I could use the recolor artwork feature, go to my color groups here, and I have that color group. Oh, that is so interesting because it looks like one of the other variations. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Okay, so that's just a little bit about how these features and some of the additions to the features are working in Illustrator. I hope this has been a helpful video just to get you oriented to what's new. And thank you so much for watching. My name is Laura Coyle. I teach Adobe Illustrator here on YouTube and in my online learning community. Find out more at my website, lauracoylecreative.com, and be sure to join my email list. You'll receive a welcome gift and helpful Illustrator tips delivered right to your inbox. And thanks for watching.